talking about how you can move those thoughts into something that is tangible. So the way you do that is by understanding that you've already asked and that it is already vibrationally there, and that you have to find some way of creating a vibrational atmosphere, your point of attraction, that allows it to be realized by you. Sometimes as we project that thought to Esther, she starts to say, so that it can be revealed to you. But that's not quite accurate, because it's always being revealed to you. The path of least resistance is always being offered to you. But if you're in a vibrational state of being or a mindset where you can't see it, then you don't realize it. So the key to allowing all of this is to create an atmosphere that helps you to realize it. Stay with us. You're really going to like this, because it's moving beyond anything that we've talked about before relative to this. So rather than goal setting, rather than deciding what I want and going out there and finding some way of getting it, we want you to understand that the path is always unfolding beneath your feet. In other words, the path is coming to you. You just have to be in the mindset that you realize the path. Does that sort of make sense to you? You have to be in a place where you can realize it. And so these ideas that come to you, that's part of that realization. Even the visualization that comes to you, even the imagination that comes to you, it's part of the unfolding of it, you see. And so you're so used to the tangible. You want to see it and hear it and smell it and taste it and touch it. And we want you to too. But we want you to understand that everything, before it is vibrationally observable through your physical senses, it must be vibrationally observable to you through your emotional senses. So you have to feel it into being. And if you feel angst about it or uneasiness about it or fear about it, then you're holding yourself in resistance, and you're not going to see the path that will lead you to what you want. The path that's lighting up for you is leading you away from what you want, you see. So that's why we say, if you can be more general about it, more general about what you want, talking about what you want and why you want it, causes you to create a better vibrational atmosphere, and then things occur to you. Don't you know it? Haven't you had the experience where a good idea just occurred to you? It felt like it came out of nowhere. Well, it didn't come out of nowhere. It came out of source energy's awareness of who you are and what you want. Let's make it more clear. Source knows where you stand in relationship to everything you want, and knows many, many paths to help you to get to where you want to be. But we want to say that different. Rather than saying to get you to where you want to be, what we want to say is for you to be in a vibrational mindset that allows you to be aware of the path that is beneath your feet. It's the realization of the ideas, you see. And so what you all have been calling visualization and imagination are part of the manifestations that we're talking about. We're going too fast for you. We're going to start in a different place. You're going to get this. It'll be easy for you to understand. So step one is contrast causes you to ask. You put stuff in your vortex that hasn't manifested yet. It's annoying to you because you want it. You can't spend it yet. You can't sleep with it yet. You can't have fun with it yet. And so it's over there. Blah, blah, blah. So I want what's in the vortex to come into my human experience. So now I'm preparing myself for the realization of it. So what are the first evidences of the manifestation? The first manifestation, and we want to call it a manifestation because it's visceral, you can feel it, is the emotion that you feel. So when you feel calm, when you feel sure, when you feel excited, when you feel eager, when you feel anticipation, when you feel even hopeful, when you feel confident, those emotions are manifestations to let you know that you are in the vibrational vicinity of what you're asking for. And if you could maintain that, don't talk to others who can't see in your vortex, and don't beat the drum of what is. In other words, hold yourself in that expectant place as best you can. So those emotions are the first manifestations. Next manifestations are thoughts begin occurring to you. Ideas begin coming to you. Good ideas begin coming to you. Ideas that make you feel excited begin coming to you. Those are manifestations too. You actually see things in your mind's eye. They begin coming to you. Your imagination kind of kicks into place. So can you feel the difference in what you were asking and in what we're telling you? Because for most humans who are so used to acting your way into what you want, pushing against the resistance that you've already set up. What we're encouraging you to do is to spend most of your time creating an environment that is conducive to you realizing, so that you are the receiver of the idea, so that you are the receiver of the vision, so that you are in the right place at the right time when somebody rendezvous with you. In other words, so first it's emotions, and then it's thoughts, and then it's visualization, and then it's people talking to you, and then it's people wanting to fund your project, and then. Never-ending support from all universal forces. You just have to prepare the atmosphere so that you can receive it, you see. Helpful? Yeah.
So it's kind of like, that's like all like really easy and fun. I mean, that's what I feel. Just be easy about it.
If you all would give yourselves a break and do more things that make you feel good. Esther would say to Jerry would say, what do you think about taking a walk? I don't have time. What do you think about, let's meditate. I don't have time to meditate. And we want to say, you don't have time not to. Because there's leverage in alignment that is nearly indefinable. In other words, when you take the time for alignment, when you meditate, you stop thought. And when you stop thought, you stop any resistant thought. And when you stop any resistant thought, now you're in alignment with your own desires. And now, you can get on these rampages where it feels like impossible things are unfolding. People around you are standing in amazement. Esther bought a house the other day, a really beautiful house. It turns out it is as easy to create a castle as a button. It's a castle. It has turrets and everything. And found it, walked through it on one day, and 1 week later closed. And everyone involved said, what just happened is not even possible. And Esther thought, in your world, in your screwy world. But in my world, everything's always working out for me. Everything's always working out for me. Everything is always working out for me because I have universal forces at my back. I have non-physical energies seeing through my eyes. I spend time coming into alignment so that my impulses are not wasted, because my impulses are leading me toward what I want instead of away from what I want. Yeah, great fun.
So, so I see manifestations occur when it's light and fun, like, wouldn't it be nice if, or wouldn't it be cool if, and then boom, it's there.
So why is it that you can't make everything like that?
Well, that's kind of what I'm getting here.
Well, because you've practiced it to be otherwise. In other words, the things that are light and fun, you're not heavily invested in them. You haven't thought about them much. The stakes don't feel that high. And you haven't practiced the thing that doesn't work with them so much because you didn't care so much. But the things that you really care about, you've thought about a lot from that place of struggle. And so the universe just keeps delivering you more things like that. Mm-hmm. It can be as easy as you want it to be or as hard as you make it out to be. And don't be hard on yourself about it. It takes a little bit of allowing the universe to demonstrate. That's why we like to say to all of you, start with something easy. Don't take the issue. That's your word. Don't take, sometimes you'll say, I've got this issue that I have a challenge with. And just those words are a really strong indicator of how you're feeling about it. I've got this, I'm struggling. This is what I'm struggling with. And we want to just lighten the struggle. And so we'll say, let's talk about something lighter. We were having a conversation with a woman on a telephone many years ago when Esther was still had time to do that. And this woman was not having any of us. She wanted a psychic prediction. She wanted us just to give her psychic predictions of what was coming, and she did not want to learn how to create her own reality at all. And so she was not enjoying us. And we weren't getting anywhere with her. And so we said to her, let's talk about some things that you do not have so much resistance about. She said, why? We said, because it will feel better to you. And she said, all right. And so, like what? She said. And we said, well, let's talk about blue glass. And she said, why? We said, because you don't think about that very often. And she said, there's a reason for that. And we said, well, let's just talk about blue glass just for a little bit. Let's talk about how many varieties of the color blue there are, and how the textures of glass vary so much. You can see right through some, and some are so opaque you can't see through at all. Some let light through. So many different varieties of blue glass. Blah, 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 she's thinking. She's having none of it. So then we said, well, then let's talk about butterflies. Why? Because you don't think much about butterflies. Butterflies, the variety of butterflies. We talked about butterflies for a minute or so. And then we said, let's talk about feathers. She was having none of this and actually did end the conversation abruptly by hanging up. Jerry and Esther were in San Diego at the time. They were in La Jolla. And so they went over to George's to have lunch. And they parked the car at the La Valencia Hotel, and they were walking down the sidewalk to George's. And all of a sudden, Esther felt an impulse that she couldn't deny that was so powerful. She wanted to go inside this shop. Now, that in and of itself is not unusual for Esther. But her feeling was so strong that and Jerry did not want to go, which was not unusual for Jerry. But she dragged him in, and they got all the way to the back wall, and there was the most amazing wall of blue glass ever anywhere. Ceiling to floor, wall to wall, all kinds of different blue glass. Esther did not make the association, and Jerry had not been part of the conversation, and so he did not either. And so they were not interested in blue glass, and so they went on their way to lunch and had lunch, and they came out of the restaurant and they walked down to what's called the Cove, the most beautiful rocks and the most beautiful sea. And as they were walking across this long lawned area, they were surrounded by a flurry of butterflies that was so intense they had to stop talking, which was not like them, in order to not eat butterflies. Still, Esther did not make any association with the conversation that had been an hour or so before. And then all of a sudden, Jerry said, look at that. And there's a little boy, a little Asian boy, 3 years old, 4 maybe, running toward them, as if he knew them. And Esther looked at him, and this little one came right up to Esther and handed her a feather. And then Esther realized what had happened. Because those 3 subjects had been activated with no resistance, the universe found a way to deliver them all in an amazingly short period of time and in a very obvious way. This is what we want you to understand about all things. But see, those subjects there was no resistance within Esther about them at all. But they were active in her vibration because of the conversation. So what we're saying to you is, if you will test the universe with things that you do not have big wads of resistance about, just find some thoughts and simply offer them, and watch how quickly law of attraction responds to the power of the frequency of your offering. You will discover your power. And then little by little, you can take subjects that are all wadded up within you, that you've practiced a lot of resistance about, and you can soften the resistance about those subjects by becoming less and less specific and more general. Because at the basis of everything that you want, it doesn't matter what it is, everything that you want, whether it's a material object, a relationship, a pile of money, a state of being, a circumstance, a condition, an event, no matter what it is that you want, ever, you or anyone else, the reason that you want it is because you believe you will feel better in the having of it. So if you can discover how to feel better, you've already done step 1. You've already done step 2 is already done. All you got to do is feel better. You've already done the effort, and you've already done the sifting. You've already done the hard part. You've already done the asking. And Source has already delivered the vibrational essence of what you want, all queued up, ready to be realized by you in the moment that you stop offering resistance that holds it apart. That's how thoughts turn to things, you see. First, they come into the thing called emotion, and then they come as the thing called thought, and then they come as the thing called word, and then they come as the thing called rendezvous with someone else. In other words, no one's trucking the resources into you from other planets. How do you think the evolution of that which you are about is taking place? The expansion is coming from the resources that are right here,